hello. A bit of a rough and ready this week I think, because I am in between rushing around doing jobs and stuff. I've been gardening this morning, finally doing some weeding, and just waiting for a load of washing to finish so that I can hang it out. It's suddenly, like literally overnight, turned from summer to winter here in the UK, but today is a nice dry day, so I'm taking advantage of that, and like I say, doing some gardening and hanging some washing out. Might be the last one of the year putting washing on the line. Is it really sad that I get excited about that? Not about it being the last, but about being able to put washing out on the line. Anyway, let me tell you what I've been reading. Mostly I have been absorbed in Shorty September. So far I have read Poyums by Len Pennie. This is a collection of poetry. This was superb. I expected it to be. I saw Len at a book event when she was promoting this, and sorry, Freddie likes to join in the discussions with the neighbourhood dogs. Reminds me of 101 Dalmatians, you know, when they sound the alert. Wonder what they're chatting about. Bin man incoming. I don't know. Anyway, Poyums. Yeah, saw Len at a book event and saw her read some of these, and yeah, she's exceptional. She's just such a wonderful human being. Most of these poems are about her experiences of toxic relationships, abusive relationships. Some are about her experiences of being a female presence online, talking about men abusing women and the abuse that she gets for that. There's one poem in here which is particularly poignant and terrifying and clever, where she's used verbatim comments that she's received on some of her posts to form a poem, and they're foul. When Len was talking about her experience of that at the event, and I think somebody asked a question about, you know, how do you cope, how do you manage with that kind of hatred online, she says she usually just kind of like looks them up a little bit, like not stalks them, but just kind of looks at their profile and, you know, sees that they've got a really shit kitchen or something like that, you know, just normalises and personifies them, kind of does the opposite to what they're doing in terms of dehumanising. Quite often they are fathers, fathers of daughters. Yeah, so it was very interesting to hear her talk about that and perform that poem, and then to read it again in this collection. Yeah, she's exceptional. She's witty, but also very cutting, and has some really, what am I trying to say? There's a rubbing on my table. Maybe I shouldn't film outside, I'm very distracted. Has some very emotionally astute reflections on her experiences, and especially this kind of sentiment of not all men. It was good. Very good collection, glad I got to it. And I then read They by Greig. This was an interesting read. I've had this for quite a long time, 2 years I think, and it sat on my shelves for all that time. So I'm very glad to have got to it. I'm glad I read the introduction, which is by Maria Machado. It puts the book into context. These were originally written as short stories, and Greig then edited them to compile them into this novella. And I think that did a disservice for me. The stories were somewhat interlinked, but it was too disparate for me to experience it as a novel. But the concept was incredibly interesting, and there was some real kind of snapshot moments that were very powerful, and yeah, I'm glad to have read it. It's about a somewhat dystopian future where there's this ominous they who are little by little getting rid of art or creativity in a wider sense, So there's some really interesting bits in here where you have this, like, they are never kind of like directly seen, but their presence is felt. And so there's, I think it was right at the start, the character notices that, you don't know what gender they are, the character notices that books are going missing from their shelves, and so they know that somebody's coming and taking them, but never sees that person, the they coming and going. Yes, it was really creepy. And there was also this sense of mob mentality to those who were cooperating with this they, and it was very poignant thinking about how quickly our society dissolved into riots recently around, well, supposedly around the topic of immigration, but it was just an excuse for fascists to let loose. And it doesn't take much of a spark for things to really fall apart. And there were things in that I felt mirrored in this, that I felt mirrored recent events, which is remarkable and prophetic because this was written in the 70s. Yeah, glad to have read it. It's an interesting read. I wish it had been written deliberately as one piece of work instead of edited that way. I think it might have been something different. But yeah, like I say, the introduction was very interesting, gave some interesting insights into how this work was treated by the publishers. Yeah. I also read it, sorry, this is going to be quick. It's not quick, is it? I also read, I can't remember the title, but the cover is blue, by Elias Greig. This is by a bookseller from Australia, and it's sort of almost diary entry, just very, very, very short two page snippets of conversation that he had with customers as his time as a bookseller. Some of them are funny, most of them I think are trying to be funny, some of them are poignant, some I think miss the mark a little bit for me. So I love the premise. I did chuckle at lots of them. Working in retail is a special, unique world, and this book captured that very well. There were a couple of anecdotes which I felt were kind of making fun of, like, somebody with a speech impediment. There was another one that I felt made me a bit uncomfortable. There were a couple of occasions when it was like, is that child neglect that you're describing? I'm not sure that's funny. So there were a few that kind of missed the mark for me. I didn't find them funny. It didn't quite tread that line. It made me really appreciate Adam Kay's writing. No, thank you. Brennan, lie down. Wait. No. It really made me appreciate Adam Kay's writing. This is going to hurt, because he told anecdotes that were funny, but there was always an underlying kindness and sincerity in his anecdotes. I think that's what this book was slightly lacking, but it was still Stop it! It was still an entertaining read, and yeah, it was fine. It was a bit of filler fluff. Excuse me. Brennan Bar. Next book I read for Shorty September is Little Scratch by Rebecca Watson. This is a pretty incredible book. Had you described it to me, I don't think I would have picked it up, because it's a stream of consciousness taken to the extreme, and I usually really don't like stream of consciousness. It's set over 24 hours, or rather a kind of like morning to night when this person wakes up to when they go back to bed. So it's a day in their life and a day in their head, very much, and you are experiencing their thoughts in real time. I think the thing that made this different from normal stream of consciousness writing is it was literally her thoughts, and it's captured in form. So sometimes you'd be reading stuff along this side of the page and then this side of the page, because there would be this running commentary of what was going on, but also a response, or having one thought and then being distracted by something else. And so you had to really work at this book to, it wasn't obvious looking at the page where you should be reading from. I quite enjoyed that, and I think because it wasn't sort of rambling soliloquy, which stream of consciousness can often be, it was much more in the moment and felt authentic. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. And another book about sexual violence. I think I've got a lot of those on my TBR this month. Just a heads up if you pick this up. Yeah, I thought this was exceptional. Okay, and then, so that's what I've been reading. I'm also, just to touch base, I'm about halfway through The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, doing that as a read-along with Jess at Stalking Kafka. We're having some really good chats about it. I have been listening and reading in tandem, and I've discovered that I can't just put it on in the background. I have to concentrate, and so if I am listening to it, I have to have the book in front of me as well. Otherwise things are just going over my head and I'm not getting the full benefit of the story from it. I made much more of an effort this weekend to read this week's reading, and last week's I did 2 weeks in one go, and concentrated on it and enjoyed it much more, got much more out of it. So that's going rather well. I have been listening to Shadowstitch by Cari. This is an absolute weapon of a book. You could build houses with these. I read Shadowstitch, which is the first in the series, and the accompanying novella, Hedge Witch, which was delightful. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This has to go back to the library today because there is a hold on it, so I can't renew it. So I'll just stick with the audio, which I'm enjoying, which is fine. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not quite halfway through this yet, but I'm having a really good time with it. I really enjoy these books. They're really underrated. I don't see many people talking about this series, but I wish more people would take an interest in it. It's really good fun. It's a kind of contemporary witch situation based in London, and there's this group of friends who form a coven. They're kind of sixth form age school children. I suppose you'd describe this as young adult, maybe. Don't know. But yeah, in this world, witches exist, and there are different types of covens. So the Walk Cunnings are all about magic, like plant-based magic, and then you've got Hell Witches, who are all about being able to talk to the dead, and one of the main characters that we're following is part of an order, or rather her aunt, who she grew up with, is part of an order where they use threads and sewing to, it does, duvet cover finished in the washing machine, like sewing and stitching and knotting as a form of magic. So it's a good time. I enjoy these. If you've read them, let me know what you think. That's reading and listening. In terms of what I've been filming this week, I've been filming absolutely nothing because I got to the stage where I'd filmed 2 lots of vlogs and hadn't done anything with them and was getting myself into a bit of a state. When I started, which isn't that long ago, it doesn't take long for things to dissolve into chaos, does it? I was editing as I went, and that was the right thing to do because trying to pull out and upload and edit like a whole vlog's worth of clips after the fact it's a lot, isn't it? Anyway, I did it. So my new Welsh literature vlog is edited and uploaded, so that will go out on Saturday, so that's great. And I've got another one that I did whilst I was on leave, which I still need to, I haven't done anything with that yet, but it's coming. It's all coming, but I haven't been filming because I've got enough stuff to be going on with. And it's kind of nice not to be vlogging all the time, isn't it? Take a bit of a break. In terms of what we've been watching, I'm not sure, hello Samuel, I'm not sure what we've watched this week or since I spoke to you last, so I'll just tell you about some of the highlights. We watched the series A Gentleman in Moscow with Ewan McGregor. It was lovely. I haven't read the book. If you have read the book, and watched the series, would you recommend, having watched the series, that I do read the book? I thought it was lovely. It was a really, really great story, and yeah, Ewan McGregor was brilliant in it. Really, yeah, we enjoyed that. I enjoyed that anyway. We also watched Freddie Flintoff's Field of Dreams, which is very good. It's since he had a car accident filming Top Gear, and we watched the first series where he went back to his hometown of Preston and recruited some kids from backgrounds that wouldn't perhaps necessarily have the opportunity to play cricket usually, and made them into cricketers. So it was revisiting some of them and taking them on tour to India, on a cricket tour. Yeah, it was good. It had this added dimension of the fact that Freddie hasn't filmed anything since his accident, and obviously had a really understandably profound impact on him. So that was interesting and quite touching to see him sharing some of the anxieties that the boys he was taking away were feeling too. As with all of these sorts of programmes, it was a bit voyeuristic. So there's a lad on there who's a refugee from Afghanistan, and you know, whilst they were on tour, Freddie sat him down and asked him for his story, and of course it's fucking harrowing. And perhaps Adnan wanted to share his story to share awareness, but I don't know. I hope it's not exploitative. I don't know. There's a little bit of discomfort there, isn't there? But yeah, overall, it's a lovely series. And then the other thing we watched this week, I don't know how Duncan found it, but it was a film called Argyle. I forget what it was on, it might have been on Apple TV. It's about an author who writes spy novels, and somehow what she's writing kind of is coming true, and so an actual spy kidnaps her, and there's people trying to kill her for what they think that she knows. It was absurdly ridiculous, but so entertaining. It was the silliest thing I have watched in such a long time. It was really well starred as well. There was loads of people that you would know in it. But yeah, just really, really stupid, but a really good time. And this kind of dance slash fight scene at the end slash paintball session that had me like howling out loud laughing. It was so funny. But yeah, really, really, really silly. So if you're looking for something a bit escapist and not too serious and a little bit bookish, that was fun. Argyle was a good time. The other thing that I have had the pleasure of discovering this week is my partner got me a gift for my birthday, which was in June, but the colour that I wanted was out of stock, and it's just come, but it's perfect timing. It's a rechargeable hot water bottle, so no water in here, but it's got a battery pack in it, and you charge it up and it heats up. It's remarkable. You just press a button. Oh, it's not switched on. Hold please. Yeah. So there's some little lights come on there, and then it gets warm straight away, and you've got an instant hot water bottle that you can just switch on and off. It's so good. So I enjoy while swimming through the winter, because I'm cruel and unusual like that. And this is going to be absolutely perfect, so I can tuck it in my towel, just switch it on when I get in the water. Oh my god. Yeah, I'll just switch it on when I get in the water, and I'll have toasty towels for when I get out. Lovely. But yeah, perfect timing because the weather is starting to turn. It is very much autumn in the air. So isn't that lovely? It's not sponsored, but I would very much like to be. I think that's all that I have to impart on you today. Thank you so much for watching. Do look out for the new Welsh literature vlog on Saturday. I think it's turned out really well, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great week.